college. Let's see, Joey. Yeah, go Eafs. Joey graduated in 2009. And then I got to play for her for 2 years. And then I graduated in 11. And then Joey went on to continue doing very cool athletic things. I, on the other hand, am semi-retired. Quick story, Joe. Last night I actually played slow pitch and haven't played in a while. And I did 2 pop-up slides. And I can't walk today. So I have a lot of respect for the fact that you're still playing at the highest level and I can't even make it in a beer league. Like,
that's amazing. I feel like it's so underappreciated, just the athleticism in softball and the 0 to 60 start, go, stop, change direction, all the muscles that you have to recruit for that.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. I mean, and of course my body still just tells me to slide, because we practiced it so many times, but my body can't still do it. So
well, good for you for going all out.
Yeah, thanks, friend. Thanks. But yeah, so Joe, just give us a little background about yourself.
For sure. So those 2 years coaching at Williams were instrumental in the start of my career, and just a great experience. Thanks for being a wonderful teammate and then player. And from there, I actually got my first head coaching softball job at Stevenson University, another Division III school in Maryland, and I was there for 5 years. Popped over to Lebanon Valley College for only a year, and after that got yanked up to Bucknell University and spent 3 years there. And all the while training and playing with the Canadian national team through the summers, traveling all over the show. I still don't know what it's like to recruit in the summer for a college team, but yeah, it was definitely challenging balancing both of them. And this year, thanks to COVID delaying the Olympics, I have decided to step away from coaching, and so for the first time I'm focusing full time on training and playing, which has allowed me the opportunity to step into Athletes Unlimited and just soak up the everyday softball opportunity that I didn't think would be possible in 2020.
Yeah, that's really, it's super neat. I've enjoyed watching all the games. I think I've watched all of them so far, which is good. And I want to get into that and learn. I have so many questions about it. But before we do, I kind of want to go back to the beginning, and, you being from Canada, can you just give us a little background on what that process is like? Because you played hockey and softball, kind of if there are differences between, playing select softball in Canada versus in America. Because I don't think, many people here know about that probably.
For sure. So growing up, I just loved sports and, played a bunch in high school. I think the biggest difference I've found between the US and Canada is the high school sports. And, at home, they're not that serious. And if you're seriously training in a sport, you're playing travel and may or may not be playing in high school. So in high school, I played field hockey, ice hockey, soccer, and slow pitch, actually. We didn't have fast pitch in high school. And then for travel, I played hockey and softball along the way, and just loved both of them so much I couldn't choose. And being the stubborn Taurus I am, said I want to play both in college. And so, any school that had any interest with one sport or the other, the first question was, can I play both? And if the answer was no matter what the school was, it's like, okay, well, thank you. I appreciate your time, but I'm out of here. So Williams actually happened upon me at a hockey tournament in Connecticut. My travel team was down there playing. The serious travel teams typically will travel down to the US to play in tournaments in hopes of being seen. There aren't too many big tournaments in Canada that draw a lot, more so in hockey, but much fewer in softball. So, but I was fortunate enough to be seen there and sent my VHS video to Coach Herman and asked her if I would be able to try out for the softball team. She said yes, and the rest is history. Ended up at Williams. But I think the craziest thing thinking back to it was just the whole process of preparing for US college and getting into college. I didn't even know what the SAT or ACT was until partway through high school. And someone said, oh, well, if you go to the US for school, you have to take the SAT. And I'm like, the what?
Mm.
And, you know, so it's like grade 11 and just, okay, I guess I'll take a couple practice tests online. And there's not a big culture with tutors or just preparing for those tests. So it was a little bit different. At the same time, it was a blessing. I got to just grow up playing the sports because I love them and not thinking that everything I was doing on a daily basis was to get to school or to pay for school or whatnot. And I see a lot of the pressures on the young generations coming up through sports to just be the best so that they can get into a school. And I very much appreciate playing for the love of the game.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, so you dated yourself saying VHS. So your VHS recruiting video, did you have a cheesy song with it?
You know what? I don't even know. I don't think so. We had this random company come into a high school gymnasium and we took some cuts off the machine, and our coach hit us some ground balls on the wooden floor, and like
Oh,
it
nice.
was probably horrible. I'm fairly certain it's still in her office, so
Okay,
uh,
yeah.
next time you're in Williamstown,
If
check
she
that
has a way to play
out.
it.
That's a really, really, really good point.
Yeah.
But no, it was like bare bones, just, here's 5 to 10 minutes of this no-name softball player from Canada on a VHS.
Okay. Yeah. Well, my dad and I decided to do mine. And so it was really rough as well. But I mean, as long as you get the content, it doesn't really matter, right? We talk to kids all the time today about making recruiting videos, especially in this COVID environment. It's great to just have a 3-minute highlight of just, hey, this is what I'm good at, and show it off. But my dad decided to put Another One Bites the Dust as the background song, and it was just so cheesy. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun. I
That's
mean, just so,
amazing.
yeah. So that's why I asked, because I never forget the fact that we did
Yeah.
that.
Well, hopefully you didn't trip during it.
Oh, I didn't. Did you?
No, I'm just saying because of your song choice.
Oh, yeah. Yes, yes, yes. No, I didn't. No, I think it was more him saying, I'm sitting batters down when they come.
Nice.
Yeah. So true. Yeah. Okay, awesome. So then at Williams, what was that like being a two-sport athlete? Because that's a pretty unique experience as well.
Yeah, I get that question a lot actually. And the fall was the toughest time for me because neither sport was in season. Being in the NESCAC, we didn't have fall softball. And so both sports were just kind of preparing, fall softball practices just with the players coming together, and hockey training to be in season. So dryland training, driving over to North Adams to jump in their rink and get some time on the ice. And so trying to balance that life while also having the excitement of a new school year and seeing friends and teammates and classmates again and getting back into the swing of school. So the fall was definitely the toughest time. And then once November hit and it was full swing into hockey, it was a lot easier to manage. And I always felt way more organized and like my life was together when I was in season. So, November 1st through the end of the school year was golden for me after getting through those first 2 months of trying to juggle everything.
Yeah. And I remember that transition of going from hockey to softball being tough on your body, right? You always said you were so sore going from skating to learning how to move again on dry land.
Absolutely. Yes. Many, many ice baths and lots of time in the training room.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay, so your senior year, you had a ridiculous senior year where you led the nation in batting average, right?
Yes. Yes.
What,
That was
563?
You got it. Good memory.
I've seen the plaque. Yeah. So I don't know, talk a little bit about that, because you were a triple threat. Obviously were quite speedy and brought a lot of different things to the table. Like, what was that success like? What did it take? And just when you think back on your senior year, what do you think about?
I think a lot of it came down to reading the defense and just understanding that ball in play is going to put pressure on the D, and being able to swing the bat and play small ball was definitely advantageous to keep the defense on their heels and for them to not know, what to expect. And if they looked like they were expecting short game, just driving it, into the outfield, and vice versa. So base running is my favorite part of the game. So anything to get to that point is motivation for me. So yeah, it was definitely fun. I loved our team. I loved our environment. I loved our work ethic, our grit, and just had so much fun. I always think about, actually was texting with coach the other day just about the fact that I'm winning the fun game here. Like, I'm having more fun in practices and during the games than anybody else. And that's what I think back to in college as well, was just having so much fun every day and focusing on the process and just being in the moment and enjoying getting better at softball. And that allows the success to come.
Yeah. So you said something I really like about, if you thought the defense was expecting short game, you went outfield. You read the game and responded to what they were giving you. We talk about that a lot with our players, just having good softball IQ and reading your options and playing the odds. Can you go into that a little bit more? Because I know, especially with a lot of our younger players, they get really comfortable at something and they just want to do that over and over again. But we want to challenge them to, even if you fail in the beginning, to get out of your comfort zone and improve in your other areas, because in the long run then maybe you'll lead the nation in batting average.
But don't focus on that, it'll come.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, I think honestly trusting what you have, and you just made a really good point of, even if it doesn't work the first time, just understanding that what your strengths are and how to use them. And even from, the beginning of a game, before the game, during warm-up, watching the other team, watching how the pitcher moves, watching how the corners move, understanding arm strength of different players, speed of different players. And, even if maybe the corners are playing in a little bit, but you've noticed that they can't move that well, still being able to drop that bunt down, or understanding that you're playing a pitcher who throws the ball away a lot, or has just doesn't have the strongest fielding ability, put a bunt down towards the pitcher and go, and you're putting pressure on the D in that way. When also getting ready in the batter's box, not even just the corners, but thinking, is the second baseman in a place where I can beat her to first base? Like, is she ready? And I think that's something that's often overlooked by younger bunters, is they focus on, the corners are in and ready for me, and they don't realize that the second baseman might be sleeping that pitch and is playing deep and up the middle a little bit. So just having that awareness, from warm up to your at bat, pitch to pitch, understanding positioning of players. And maybe the outfielders, sometimes people watch me step in the box and they're like, oh, this is a slapper. And so, the outfield comes way, not that I'm a power hitter that drives it over the fence, but just noticing that there's that opportunity to maybe poke one in the gap and leg out a triple there. So just keeping the awareness.
I saw you hit a nice triple the other day to the wall, so I think you still got it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was fun. I saw you almost leg it into a home run. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, that was fun. Lauren Lappin was our third base coach that day, and she was wheeling and went way up the line and then had me slam on the brakes pretty late and started apologizing after. And I was like, no, that's awesome. I love it. Like, the aggressiveness and just the last minute breaks. I love it. Like, go until you're not is always what I say. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I liked that too. It's one of those things, it's a small thing to notice about the game, but yeah, I felt the same way, because you kept the pressure on. If there's one bobble at the plate, you're safe. But if not, okay, just dive back into third and you're safe either way. Yeah, it was fun. That was fun to watch. Okay, so then you graduate and you coach at Williams for 2 years. What was that like, coaching where you played?
Yeah, that was definitely tough at first, because I had such close friendships with my teammates and players that were now players of mine. And so having the transition with hockey first made it a lot easier for softball from my perspective. I'm not sure you can answer how it felt as a player going from teammate to then being a player of mine. But, just basically the first weekend, getting text messages from players when they're out on campus and just laying down the law right from that moment. Like, that used to be okay, it's not anymore. And just ensuring that line was understood. And I didn't feel like there was an issue after that. even to this day, I enjoy having personal relationships with my players and understanding how they're doing on a daily basis. And so I feel like because I'm that kind of person, it made it a little easier to transition into a coaching role. But I definitely think I put up a little bit too big of a wall from the get-go, because I wanted to have that line drawn in the sand, and then had to kind of work through that and understand as I grew up through the years, what exactly it looked like to then coach players who I never had experiences with prior to being their coach, and kind of opening that door a little bit wider.
Yeah, that player coach relationship is always an interesting one and I think as coaches, we're kind of every year probably adapting our policy a little bit, to figure out what's the best formula to create the strongest relationship with your players while having that line. So yeah, I totally understand that. But no, I mean, I didn't feel awkwardness with our transition, because you'd always been such a leader on the softball team anyway. So it wasn't like, it wasn't a bizarre choice for you to all of a sudden become the coach too. So yeah, it felt pretty easy. I think I'd love to share one of my favorite memories real quick, and I know you'll remember this, but okay, so you're training, and so this must have been my senior year, 2011, I guess, and we went down to the field, and you wanted to take live BP, and remember we brought down Megan Casey? Yes. Okay, so Megan and I are arguing about what pitch to throw you, and I think Megan wanted a screwball and I wanted to curve on your hands, right? It was that or the opposite. And we fought and Megan won and threw her pitch, and then you hit the ball and it hit her in the thigh.
Yes, I remember that like it was yesterday. Oh my goodness, just the horror of thinking I just nailed my player in the leg with a ball. But I think it helped you send a pretty clear message that you were calling pitches from then on.
That was great. I mean, after checking on her, it was fun saying "told you so." But what's funny is we have talked about that moment recently, and Megan still says she was right. I'm like, how can you say you're right? You got hit. But it's fine. It's fine. We're over it.
Oh, that's unreal.
So yeah, that was fun. Okay, so then, yeah, fast forwarding a little bit, just going through coaching college and training for the Olympics, you walked on, right? I mean, there were invites to go try out for the Canadian Olympic team, and you decided to go walk on, correct? And
yeah, so because of the turnover after the '08 Olympics, they held some open tryouts, and my parents actually signed me up to go, and they told me over the phone that it was happening and that they signed me up, and my response was no, I'm not going. But looking back, I'm very grateful for it, and for the fact that they encouraged me and pushed me to get there. And that first year, going from, I say it was a 2-week span from going from I don't want to go, I don't belong here, to then getting through the tryout, to okay, I think I can do this, to being one of the final cuts that year and being completely devastated. And just kind of wrapping my head around the fact that those emotions and thoughts can change so drastically in such a short period of time. And you can experience such disappointment for something that 2 weeks prior you didn't even think that you should be there. But it definitely lit a fire to work my butt off and come back the next year to prove myself.
Okay, yeah. So of course we talk about failure recovery all the time in our sport and how important that is. But that was your reaction to getting cut in almost making it, right? Okay, now I'm just going to work even harder. So what year was that you got cut?
That was '09. So right after graduation.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it. And so then you went back in 2010.
Yep.
Got it. And then what happened that summer?
Well, that summer, I'm not sure if those tryouts were open again. They might have been kind of similar format. but now they kind of knew who I was and what they had asked me to work on over the year. And thanks to my former teammates and coaches and everyone in Williamstown who pushed me and gave me the opportunities to train outside of practice or run bases during practice or whatever it might have been. And worked with the speed coach on campus as well to improve my running form, and went back in 2010 and just gave it my all with a little more confidence this time, and ended up making the roster as more of a role player. And so got to play a little bit of outfield to start and be a pinch runner, be a pinch hitter. I'd never been a pinch hitter before in my life. So that was an interesting experience back then. And just built on that from one year to the next. And, here we are 11 years later.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny that you mentioned you worked with a speed coach and everything, because when you ran the bases the other day, I mean, I can tell, I know you've worked on your form over the years, but you still have your little Joey flair, and I love it. I mean, everybody has their own running personality, and when you ran your triple, I recognize that trot.
I love it. Yeah, I can't shake the hockey influence in the running stride. I've tried.
That's awesome. Okay, yeah. So you went from being, in college, pretty much playing all the time. You either played shortstop for us, you hit leadoff, and sometimes played center field. So what was that like going from, because our players deal with that all the time, right? Particularly in their transition from select ball to college. You may be a starter all the time, then you get your freshman year and you may not play at all. So how was that transition for you, going from being an everyday starter in college to, fighting to get at bats with the Olympic team?
Yeah, that was definitely a big transition mentally, just understanding, kind of going back to an experience I had when I was 10 years old and, had joined a new team and was that player. And so it had been a long time since I had felt those feelings of, wanting to be out there, but also thinking about team first and winning games and how can I buy into my role today and do it to the best of my ability. In those moments in 2010, I was the loudest person in the dugout. I was just priding myself on being the most energetic person that I could be for the team. And we ended up winning a bronze medal at the World Championships that year. And I got to be a part of that. And so it was just thinking, outside of myself and, okay, here I am in a role that at the end of the day, nobody wants, but how can I do this to the best of my ability and be the best teammate and best person and best player that I can be, and focus on that moment. Outside of the game, I can, do extra reps or stay after practice and whatever it is and continue to work to grow out of that role. But just being in the moment and being whatever my team needed me to be in at that point. And honestly, right now I'm in a similar boat with Athletes Unlimited, coming in and not knowing a lot of the players, and with it being an athlete-led league, it's very, I'm very much feeling a lot of those feelings of wanting to be out on the field, but being more of a role player, being more of a pinch runner, getting some pinch hits, coming in late in the game, whatever it might be. And now, I'm 33 years old and a little different mindset, but still that same be in the moment. Most important thing right now is winning the game, and what can I do to be, energy for my team and help us win innings, win games, win points, because that's the name of the game here with Athletes Unlimited.
Yeah. And I cannot wait to talk about that. But I want to highlight something that you said, because it's just so powerful, especially powerful coming from someone who's still in the game and playing, and not just from a coach telling the kids this, but, so you had to deal with not getting the playing time you necessarily wanted and fought through it, but made the best of it. Okay. And then, were the best you could be. Like, you controlled what you could control, being the loudest in the dugout, being the big cheerleader, taking advantage of any opportunity you did get. You said you wanted to do whatever your role was to the best of your ability. That's awesome. And then look what happens. Now you have the opportunity to go to the Olympics, which is such a rare opportunity, right? And you stuck through that. You stuck through that for 10 years, 11 years with the first year being cut. And now you have an opportunity to play with Athletes Unlimited, which has 52, 56 people.
56.
56. So, I mean, that right there, just, I would love to share your success story with every youth athlete, because there's so many times, you know, where we would get frustrated or we just don't think we're getting what we deserve, and it's so easy to walk away. It's the easiest thing to do. And with travel ball being the way that it is right now, with just, there's a lot of team hopping, it is what it is. And with the portal and the college world being so crazy right now, of course there are reasons to make changes for sure. But I do think there are a lot of times where, when I'm counseling a player, talking to her about, but if you stick this out, like, what could this be? You know, what could you gain from this? What could you learn from this? Because at some point in life, you're going to have to battle through it, and you're not going to have another ship to jump to. So I just love everything you just said, because it's, instead of, again, just a coach on a podium talking, it's actually someone who lived it.
Yeah, and I'll jump back to the fun game that I referenced earlier, and just being, you know, working to be the most fun player / have the most fun at every practice. And, you know, every single day we're right next to the freeway or a ramp for it, and so cars are whizzing by the whole time. And most days people honk at us because I guess they just see us out on the field. They're excited to see people out doing activities with other humans.
What's that like?
Yeah. And so we get a fair number of honks from passersby, and every time someone honks, you know, I'm hollering to my teammates, whatever color I'm on, you know, this week it's orange. So honks for orange, like they're cheering for us, like just using the environment, whatever there is to have more fun and bring more energy to practice. And it just makes such a difference in my own experience of practice, and my teammates too, because I can see them getting excited about it as well. And it's just so much fun to be out there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's, winning the fun game is fun, right? So that's what's great about it. You can win the fun game and help your teammates, but then you enjoy yourself as well. Crazy how that works. Awesome. Okay, so fast forwarding to, I guess, let's say 2018, 2019, 2020. What was that training like, kind of on an annual basis, preparing for what we thought was going to be the Olympics in 2020?
Yeah, so we're fortunate with the Canadian national team to have an unreal strength and conditioning coach. And he does a really good job of programming us year round, off season, on season, when we're together, when we're separated. And all of it is through an app, which is amazing. So he can monitor how we're doing, the velocity of our lifts, you know, the sets and reps that we're doing from his office in Nova Scotia, regardless of where we are in the world. And, you know, we have 10 athletes who are based in Canada, 10 in the US. And so it's tough, especially in a time like this, to get everybody together. And so having that ability to continue training at a high level and be in constant communication with him, and he has all of the data right in front of him, from each one of us. So that's been unreal for the past maybe 4 years. We've been using the Push app. And 2018 was an interesting off season for me. I had wrist surgery that January, and so that threw a big wrinkle in my preparation. But with having such a good, strong fitness foundation, I felt confident coming through that, even though the doctors made me take some time off of training post-surgery. But, you know, getting back into it was a road for sure, but having people around me to support, you know, I talked about the Williams support when I was there, and just everywhere I've been, there's been such amazing support for my journey. And the strength coach at the time for Bucknell was, his name's Cody, and he was just amazing. He would take time out of his day, you know, during a break when there weren't athletes in the gym, and he would resist my arms so I could do rows, because I couldn't hold a dumbbell or anything like that. And so he was instrumental in helping me get back to where I needed to be coming into season. And my assistant coaches throughout the years have always been amazing as well. You know, pitching coaches will throw me BP and ensure that I'm ready. And that spring, I wasn't able to hit a ball going into the summer. And so just standing in and having Ket throw, you know, pitch after pitch after pitch, and to no one hitting, I was just literally standing there tracking to try to prepare my eyes and mind going into the summer. and got onto a program with my athletic trainer and strength coach once I got to camp, kind of starting with wiffles and then building to wiffles and some real balls, and just kind of shrinking the number of wiffles and growing the number of swings with real balls once we were getting closer to games. And I kind of went back to an old role in 2018 of being a support player. And, I wasn't game ready coming into the summer, coming back from that surgery. And so again, being able to jump back into that mindset of being the best support player that I could possibly be, and just working really hard every day, and being the best teammate I could be. And by the time we got to the World Championships that summer, I was feeling pretty good. One of my teammates and I had jumped down and actually played with the elite team during one of our tournaments so that we could bat number 1 and 2 and get as many at-bats as we could in preparation for the Worlds. And so, felt really, really good. Still continued to be that role player in the World Championships. And then for the last 2 games of the World Championships, so the playoff round, actually was called on to start. And so that was just, an unreal moment for me, seeing all of that hard work coming back from surgery in January to the end of the summer, and being trusted to jump in and start those games. And we played really, really well. I think for Team Canada that summer was instrumental in our confidence growth and just the preparation we've recently had coming into the Olympic training. We got on a roll, we crushed it, and felt so good finishing up that World Championships. So 2019 was a whirlwind. We had the Pan Am Games and the Olympic qualifier. And so another crazy year, lots of traveling, and Peru was fun. It was, unfortunate we came second to the US after having won in 2015. So that was disappointing, but still good preparation going into the qualifier, and having that in our home country was amazing. Just being able to go back home and have the support of our home fans, and Canadians are usually pretty polite, and that's one thing that we always joke about when we play up in BC at Softball City is how polite the fans are. But at the qualifier, they got into it. They got rowdy. They got excited, and it was such a cool environment to play in. And although we didn't qualify the first opportunity we had, we lost that close game to Mexico, to then bounce back and have a mercy rule victory against Brazil the next day to clinch our qualifying spot was really, really exciting. And again, through that tournament, I hadn't performed my absolute best at the Pan Am. So going into the qualifier, I again kind of fell into a support role for that tournament. And one of my teammates, we actually wrote little note cards to each of our teammates at the beginning, prior to the qualifier starting. And one of my teammates wrote something along the lines of, "Your time will come and you'll be ready." And that qualifying game, our last shot against Brazil, my name was in the lineup at shortstop, and I hadn't trained at shortstop. I don't even know how long it had been. And so I immediately thought about that note card and messaged my teammate, and I was like, "You were right." And had a good game, and that was really, really exciting personally, but more so because we qualified that day. And I missed my sister's wedding for that qualifying tournament, so had we not qualified, I think I would have had more problems on my hands.
Yes.
It was worth it, and thank goodness, again, I'll go back to the support, just having so much support around me. And what an exciting year.
I mean, did you ever turn it on your sister and say, "How dare you schedule it that weekend"?
No, she tried really, really hard. She waited as long as she could to book the venue, and the dates were just announced so late that it was too late and too expensive for her to change it. So, I FaceTimed in for it, and my wife Bailey was there representing and held the phone so I could watch the whole ceremony. So it was almost like I was there.
That's pretty cool. Okay, I want to highlight something you said back with your wrist surgery. So you were hurt, recovering for what, 6 to 8 months, kind of working through that.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I would say about 6 months until I felt like ready to go on the field.
And, because a lot of our young athletes deal with injuries, right? It comes up. It sounds like you had a lot that you did during your injured time. You didn't just sit around and feel injured, right? So can you talk about that a little bit? Just how many different things you can do to prepare even when you're not physically at your best.
Absolutely. I think that that's one thing that's overlooked so often. And, even times during this 2020 crazy year, and people are talking about how many steps back they're feeling like they're taking with training. There's just so much out there that can be done when you're not at the field or not able to physically do something, whether it's visualization. And, if you're talented at visualization, just closing your eyes and thinking through situations and being able to kind of trick your brain into being in those situations and having those game experiences. If you're not talented at it, record a scenario and then close your eyes and listen to it. And that could help you picture what you want to see. I mentioned standing in. There's always pitchers who are throwing bullpens. How many times a week are pitchers getting in the bullpen? Some pitchers like to throw every day, and so being able to just say, hey, do you mind if I stand in and watch the ball come out of your hand, and challenge yourself to guess what pitch it is, or say yes or no, or put yourself in different counts and say, okay, I'm in a 2-strike count now, and so I'm going to say yes on a little bit of a bigger strike zone now. Mobility stuff. We all have different issues with movement and tightness, and taking advantage of the time and working on those areas. Speaking with strength and conditioning coaches or athletic trainers and just understanding what those areas are specific to you. There's lots of vision stuff. A lot of that can be found online, just different vision activities and ways to kind of challenge, looking from a far distance to a close distance, or following a jumbled line or whatever it might be. So watching the game, that's something that's super easy. If you can't, you're injured and you can't do anything, is just finding some softball to watch, whether it's a live game or now with Athletes Unlimited, or a recorded game, and, thinking the game, putting yourself in the position of a player, or watching intently the base runners and how they read the ball off the bat. You can never get too much softball.
Yeah, agreed. And no, I love that, just because it's something, coaching youth, whether it's high school ball or select ball, we deal with that a lot. And when players are injured, it may not always be the player, it might be the family that just thinks it's a waste of time to go to practice at this point, because you could be studying or doing other things, which I understand the initial inclination, but that's the conversation we always have. There's still so many things you can do, even if it's just showing up to cheer your teammates on, because then if you're hurt for 2 months, you've still been there for 2 months. You know what the team's going through. You're a part of the camaraderie, the culture, all that kind of stuff. So you can improve yourself as an individual, but also work on your team chemistry as well. So yeah, it sounds like you got better and when you're hurt, sometimes you have an opportunity to focus on things that you don't have time for all the time when you're playing, like, putting more time towards the mental game, which is obviously so important.
Absolutely. Yes. And so undervalued.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so Athletes Unlimited. Well, actually, wait, before we do that, let's talk about, so just what happened when you guys found out that the Olympics were being pushed back? What was that like? And then we'll go into Athletes Unlimited.
Yeah. So that week was probably the most, or the biggest emotional roller coaster I've ever been on in my life, because 2 to 3 days prior to the Olympics being postponed, Team Canada as a whole, across all sports, had announced that Canada would not be sending athletes to Tokyo 2020 if it was not moved.
Mm-hmm.
And so when that announcement was made, that was a mixture of, pride for my country in taking into consideration the health and well-being of the athletes, and understanding that people weren't going to have access to proper training and proper preparation. And there were so many sports who hadn't yet qualified, and what was that going to look like? And so taking a stance, there was pride in that. And there was also disappointment and just uncertainty, and what does this mean? And, being towards the end of my career, does that mean that this is it? And so a couple days later, when the Olympic Committee announced that they would be postponing to 2021, I felt relieved and just almost given a new sense of purpose in the uncertainty. There's so much uncertainty in the world, and just having that little nugget of, okay, so looks like the Olympics will be in 2021. I still have a reason to train. I still have a reason to push myself to fuel that fire in my belly. And then, of course, there were ups and downs for weeks after that of just, what do I do with myself now that I've been locked in the house for so long and I'm going nuts, and how many walks can I go on in a day? And figuring
we had our Friday webinar coaching,
Yes. That was amazing. And just having the connections with people that care about you and care about similar things that you do, just having that was huge. But what an emotional roller coaster this year has been.
I bet. Yeah, I'd forgot that Canada had pulled out first. Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, awesome. So yeah, so now you're 33, right, you said? Okay, so you mentioned you are the second oldest person in Athletes Unlimited.
You got it.
How does that make you feel?
Honestly, when I first got here and I looked around, I was like, I have a feeling that there's a lot of young bucks around here. But I try to look at it as a sense of pride. Like, I've taken good care of my body as good as I can over the years, and continue to value strength and conditioning. And I think that's what has allowed me to continue playing into my 30s and being, I just had a little interview yesterday with Justin's World. And one thing that Justin brought up was about the fact that I was 33 years old and being used as a pinch runner. And that's fairly rare for older players, but it's just, I think, speaks to how much I value base running in our game. And it's one, because I grew up as a faster player, but also it's such a game-changing part of the game, and it's so fun to me. So just valuing that has pushed me to ensure that I warm up properly, stretch properly, take care of my body, do the recovery I need to do, so that I can continue playing that game within a game and running around those bases.
Yeah, that is super cool. So I have a million questions about Athletes Unlimited.
Hit me.
All right, because the announcers are doing a really good job as the game goes on explaining things, but obviously there's so many unique rules that they would have to do a separate ESPNU broadcast on just the rules. So okay, one thing I love is that you guys are rewarding, you're doing a point system, and you're rewarding things besides just how many runs are on the scoreboard. Y'all talk about winning the inning, which is obviously, I don't know exactly where that came from, but of course I always heard Sue Inquist say it. But so that's something we've been talking about forever. And now the fact that you're actually putting points to it, I just think that's so neat. It breaks the game down. It makes every pitch more competitive. So yeah, can you explain a little bit about the point system?
Absolutely. I can't stop smiling because it's so fun. Like what specifically just what you were talking about with the innings, equating to points, it keeps the game so exciting. And the last weekend being the first weekend, we had a couple of games that were a little one-sided, and typically in those games, you're up 10 runs and starts to get a little drawn out, and it didn't at all. It was still so exciting. Despite the score, it was like, okay, guys, we still have to win this inning. And it was just, there's still stuff on the line. There's points on the line. There's standings on the line. There's, just working towards the end of the season, where every player will be ranked from 1 through 56. And the higher up you're ranked, the bigger your bonus is at the end of the year. And half of your bonus will be donated the equivalent of half of your bonus will also be donated to the nonprofit of your choice. And so there's so much on the line that every point matters. And so much on the line. I mean, it's not like life and death, but it's just it's exciting. It's more than just winning a game, and like you said, just that added element of the excitement of winning points every single inning keeps us in the game, keeps the pitchers on point, keeps the hitters excited, keeps the base runners aggressive, and just keeps the game so much more exciting. So every inning is worth 10 points. And whichever team wins that inning, every player on that team gets 10 points.
Okay.
So say it's a 0-0 game through 5, and the home team scores in the bottom of the 5th, they get all of those points. So they get 50 points for winning that inning because they just roll over from one inning to the next. So you could have a team that scores in the bottom of the 5th and they get 50 points, and then nobody scores in the 6th, and then the visiting team goes up in the 7th. So that visiting team will get 20 points for winning the 6th and the 7th, and then 50 points for winning the game.
Mm.
So yeah, it keeps it super exciting. And then on a personal level, you earn points by getting singles, doubles, triples, home runs. It's 10 points per base. If you get hit by a pitch or a walk or a sacrifice bunt or a sac fly, you also get 10 points. And so it's keeping that excitement of you can still lay a sac bunt down and do your job for the team and earn points for yourself.
Love that you guys are rewarding that. That's awesome.
Yes.
In the era of dingers, that is very cool.
Pardon me?
In the era of dingers, that is very cool.
Yes.
Long ball is appreciated, yes.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Y'all get points for steals, right?
Yes, 10 points.
Okay, I'm seeing a lot of people stealing, which I love.
Yes.
And the first 4 or 5 games, almost nobody was thrown out, I don't think.
Yes. Yeah, it did take a bit for someone to get thrown out. And then when you do get thrown out, it's minus 10 points. So
nice.
it keeps it that exciting as well, because you can't, as a faster runner, you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to run and say your team, say it's a close game and your team really needs you to score and you just want to get 10 points for yourself. It's not like you're just going to try to steal, because at the end of the day, you get thrown out, you're minus 10 points yourself as an individual. So the only 2 ways to lose points are by stealing a base and getting thrown out, and then as pitchers giving up earned runs.
Okay, so how do pitchers earn points?
So every out that they record, they get 4 points.
Got it. So ground ball to the shortstop to first base, that's 4 points for the pitcher.
Yep.
Strikeout, 4 points for the pitcher?
Yep.
Okay, interesting. Why'd y'all decide to value that the same?
I think, I'm pretty sure, so this was before my involvement, but the Player Executive Committee and the Athletes Unlimited company in itself did a ton of research with regard to how to quantify things and just what point amount to place on these different items. And so they went back and looked at different seasons of the NPF and tried it out and just worked it out to figure out, how can we do this in a way where players that you would expect to be at the top of the point standings are from previous years. And so when I was learning about it and going through the PowerPoint presentation about what Athletes Unlimited was and the point system and everything like that, looking at how the 2019 NPF season panned out with points and seeing whose names were at the top and how it progressed through, it made so much sense. Like, it worked out pretty well. And even only being 1 week in so far, looking at the 4 names that ended up at the top, just watching last weekend, anybody could have said, these players are going to be at the top. They're performing. They're doing a great job. And so I think they did a good job coming up with the point system.
Yeah. So last week we saw a lot of pitchers or pitcher hitters at the top of the board. So it was Sam Shaw, right? Kat Osterman. Who were the other 2 again?
Victoria Hayward and Alicia Ocasio.
Right. Okay. So has there been any conversation about, the pitcher hitters getting an advantage, or it doesn't, y'all don't really care?
Yeah, there hasn't been any conversation about that so far, and I think because they were performing. They played so well. Ocasio was even one of the defensive plays of the week for Athletes Unlimited, and she did a great job. And so I personally haven't heard any complaints about the fact that pitcher hitters have uh, the ability to gain points in more than one way, and is that fair? And I think the reason is because they were performing, and they deserve to be in those roles.
Yeah, that's a good point. They did kick butt last week, so it was super fun to watch. Okay, so you're on Team Orange this week,
Yeah.
and you said you have a lot of your same returning teammates from last week, right? Which is
Yes.
probably kind of rare, I would think.
Yeah, I would think so too. It'll be interesting to see how it progresses from here. But I only have 6 new teammates this week compared to last week, and so for me, that's an understanding of how different people work, how practices were going to be run, and I'm only in my second color jersey, even after we had 2 scrimmage days, and then last weekend and this weekend. So there are 4 opportunities to be in different color jerseys, and I'm tomorrow just gonna pull the tag off of jersey number 2. So it's been pretty interesting to kind of not have had the experience in many colored jerseys yet, but it's fun to have a core group that's stuck together from last week to this week. And having Xiao be the drafter of our team, it's not surprising that she chose a lot of players who were on our team last week, because we had a lot of fun with each other, and we had some success. And so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out from here.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, and I guess just to be clear for people who are listening to this, the top 4 performers from the week before get to pick their 4 teams, and then you guys get 3 days of practice together, and then you go play Saturday, Sunday, Monday doubleheaders.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So each Tuesday is draft day. So those top 4 players go to the dome, and they have their little setups, which you can tune in on Facebook Live on Athletes Unlimited and watch that. And it's pretty fun. Each of the 4 players have spent time speaking with their facilitator. So there's no coaches, which is also cool. It's very athlete led. But each team has a facilitator designated to them, who's there to help the captain in any way they need. So if they want to just chat about their strategy for the draft, or talk about practices as they're preparing for them, talk about lineups, if they want the facilitator to coach third or first base or whatever it is, they're there to help in any way. But it's really captain led, and tuning in for the draft would be kind of exciting. I mean, we do it every week. We're in a Zoom room waiting to get moved into our team Zoom room. We're watching the live feed of the draft. We're watching Google Sheet as it updates with the teams. And so it's a pretty exciting hour to just see how everything plays out, and just to see how the different captains draft, different strategies work out, and watching them as they're, they have their earpiece in as they're chatting with their facilitator on Zoom. And as their team grows, those players get added to that Zoom room for them, so they can chat about their next pick. And yeah, so that's a lot of fun. And then we get to play, or get to practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday with those teams, and just iron anything out we need to, get prepared for the weekend. And then, like you said, play Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then do it all again.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Tuesday is basically the only off day, but where you do the draft. That's cool. So last week was the first week, so we've got 4 more weekends of games, right? So, all right, so there's 24 games left. Yes. So that's good for all of our people who are, who've been missing softball. There's a lot of softball coming up to get to watch. So something I know I'm personally curious about, how do you get paid?
Ooh, how do we get paid? Good question. Okay, so we all signed a contract prior to coming together, and then that gets paid out weekly. So each week we get a check electronically. No more paper checks in this day and age.
Yeah.
So direct deposit, which is super nice. And then at the end of the season, our bonus will greatly depend on our performance throughout the season. So so 6 weeks in a row we'll have been paid our weekly rate, and then come the end of season we'll get a bonus check depending on where we finish. So the top finisher gets 15,000 extra dollars.
That's awesome. And that's American money, right?
That is American money. Yes. And the 56th ranked player gets an additional $1,000. So,
okay.
so just anywhere in between, obviously it progresses. The higher you are in the standings, the more you get, but it ranges from 1,000 to 15,000 for just a bonus check. So it's a pretty exciting opportunity. And I've said to so many people, it's so cool to feel like a professional athlete and have the opportunity to experience this inaugural season and the excitement around it and help build, I guess, the legacy of Athletes Unlimited, and hopefully watch it grow over the years so that players can grow up aspiring to be an Athletes Unlimited athlete. And not just softball, you know, they're starting with volleyball next year and looking to add some more sports and just providing so many more opportunities to be a professional athlete. And it's being done the right way. I had no idea what to expect, but you walk into the dome here in Rosemont and there's, you know, a huge area for the locker room with social distance lockers, and everybody has obviously their own uniforms and equipment. We got our helmets, our batting gloves, and bat, cleats, whatever it was that you needed. There's an innovation lab. They have a bunch of different companies that jumped on board to provide us with, you know, recovery tools, and Win Reality is actually there as well. So you can put the goggles on and feel like you're in a stadium taking hacks at different pitches. There's hit tracks set up in one of the cages, and the indoor field in the dome. There's an athletic training area. It's amazing. They deliver lunch to the dome every day for us. And when we arrived here, there was a pantry box in our room to get us started for breakfast and cooking in our room. And it's just, you know, everything that they could think of, they've done. And I think the thing that sets it apart from anything else that I've done as well is the fact that the entire league, all 56 of us, come together for events, and they're pushing professional development, personal development. We had the Wolfpack Endeavor come, which Abby Wambach started that. So just, you know, having those opportunities to grow as individuals with the entirety of the league together, and to meet and work alongside such amazing women. It's been such a unique opportunity and experience. And yeah, I can't wait to see how it grows in the future.
Yeah, it's super exciting, and how cool. It's so cool to be a part of it for sure. The first year, you know, that's something I'm sure you'll never forget.
Absolutely, especially during COVID times. Like, imagine what this would be like if we were actually allowed to, like, give high fives and hug each other and celebrate home runs together.
Have fans.
Have fans. Yeah. So it's an unreal experience, and I can't wait to see what it looks like. You know, hopefully there's a time in our lives where fans are allowed back in the stadium. But yeah, I just can't wait to see how it grows and changes over the years.
So I know I went on y'all's website a little bit, was looking around Athletes Unlimited. So there are memberships that if people want to get involved and kind of be more a part of the process. Can you tell me a little bit about those?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's different tiers, and I won't go into depth on what each tier offers because I don't have that in front of me, but I definitely recommend checking it out, because there are opportunities to be, so the Zoom I talked about on draft day, there's opportunities to actually witness the player Zoom room, and then also get some sneak peeks into the team Zoom room. So each team, I think there was one opportunity for each team during the draft for those members to jump in and actually see and hear what the athletes were talking about with regard to their next draft pick. And so just kind of getting that inside view on how it goes. And then there are dugout cams as well. So members can have access to those dugout cams and actually ask questions of the athletes during the first inning of the game. So our first game last weekend, I was actually one of those athletes that, got to stand and read the questions and answer and interact with the fans. And so it's a cool experience for us to see, what are people curious about? What questions do people have for us? What should we try to explain more on social media or whatnot about what we're doing? And a cool opportunity for those fans to get an inside look at the dugouts, what's going on in there during the game, and have some opportunities to interact with the players. So I think there's going to actually be bullpen cameras added as well. So that'll be another addition. And then I was also reading something about fans acquiring points. I'm not sure how they do that, but to use them in the fan store and different things like that. So there's lots of cool opportunities. They're trying to get fans as involved as possible, in light of the fact that they're unable to be in the stadium. They are giving us fan noise over the loudspeakers during the games, though. So it kind of feels like people are there.
Yeah. And I've been noticing that so much on the MLB games. It's kind of funny. It feels real. And then, of course, you realize, oh, that's a recording.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a nice touch, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Okay, awesome. So if people want to follow along, they can go to your website, the Athletes Unlimited website. You'll have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I think I saw that. What about if people want to personally follow you? How can they do that?
Great question. I've been trying to up my social media game because there's just so much exciting content to share. Jade Hewitt Media is here. Jade Hewitt Media is here, and she and her team have just done an amazing job capturing our moments, our practices, our games, we had a really cool media session. And so there's so much great content to put out there. So Instagram, you can follow me at Joey1YE. Joey Lai was taken, so I had to make the L a 1. But yeah, I would say that's the best spot, keeping Instagram as up to date as possible and posting a lot in my stories of, just what I'm doing on the daily. There's a nice little park down the street from the hotel. And since we're not able to do anything outside of going to the field and being at the hotel, aside from taking a walk, I've been spending some decent amount of time there and have Grizz with me, my little pup. So it's been nice to just get out and, after training's done for the day, just take a little walk there. But I'm happy to answer any questions people have, send me a DM or reply to a story, whatever questions you have, I'm happy to answer and spread the love for Athletes Unlimited.
Awesome. So are there going to be any games this weekend on ESPN again?
So Saturday and Sunday will be on ESPN 3.
Okay.
And then Monday will be on CBS Sports.
Okay. Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, I got to watch, I watched it on CBS Sports too. Yeah, last weekend. They did a great job. Danielle Laurie, will she be commentating again?
Yep.
And who's the guy?
Eric Collins.
Eric Collins. Okay, awesome. Yeah, they seem to work pretty well together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've done a really great job. So I feel like they've really thought about everything and put, every little detail into action to keep us safe, to have the best media, to promote us, to knowledgeable commentary. So it's been amazing.
And Danielle had nice things to say about playing with you on Team Canada. So you got some shout outs.
Well, I am honored.
Awesome. So last thing I want to talk to, give the people a little bit more information about what after Athletes Unlimited this season ends, what's your plan moving forward to prepare for the 2021 Olympics? What's that going to look like?
Well, we just had a team meeting with Team Canada last night, actually. And the Canadian-based players are coming together for a camp in a week or so. And so unfortunately I'll be missing that, but taking full advantage of every day here. In November or December, hopefully we'll be able to get together with the American-based players or everybody, depending on what travel looks like at that point. Mm-hmm. In October, getting back into the swing of solo training a little bit and, figuring out where I can get into a quality weight room. Likely I'll still be doing that at Bucknell. My wife works there, so I can get a membership to the gym there, and potentially taking a visit up to family. And then I'll have the opportunity to train with some teammates. There's, I want to say, 5 or so Ontario-based players that I can do some training with, and definitely a priority to get up there. My sister just had a baby 2 days ago.
Wow, congrats. You had
Yes.
to miss the wedding and the baby. Man, softball.
Yes. I
Only
know.
people would get it.
You better believe I asked her permission to play in this league. But thanks to COVID, I wouldn't have been able to be a part of the hospital experience anyway, or be around her much at the beginning anyway. So I'll look forward to, hopefully in October or November, getting a chance to meet little Sam and
Your niece or nephew.
Yep,
Niece. Okay, awesome.
Yep. And so it'll just be kind of figuring out this solo training journey without having the team aspect, because I've had that my entire training career and been able to jump in at practices and work with my athletes, get reps alongside of them. And so that'll definitely be an adjustment for me, but I'm also looking forward to having the freedom of being able to visit different teammates and train with different people. And there's an open invitation to join some teammates down in Florida and get some training in with them. And, that is obviously nice during the winter to get outside. And then come the new year, we will get together likely in Halifax again, like we did at the beginning of this year, and get into the team training again as we prepare for Tokyo 2021.
Ooh, that's exciting. Well, and you also have an open invitation to Texas. We have plenty of young athletes around here who would love to train with you. So
amazing. Thank you.
Put that one on the calendar. Pencil us in.
Awesome. Don't be surprised if I show up on your doorstep.
I'm good. Let's go. Sounds fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. So is there anything else about, Athletes Unlimited that you want to share, just so people, I really want to help create awareness so we can get, as much support as possible for you guys.
Yeah, I think the AU Pro Sports handle on Instagram has done an amazing job. So if you don't follow AU Pro Sports, I definitely recommend that. They've been miking players up during games, miking players up during practice, just getting as much cool content as possible and throwing it out there for viewers to almost feel like they're there and just getting the experience of what's going on here in Rosemont. And so, aside from the excitement of the point system and every single inning mattering to how we finish up the day with points, how our team does, how we do as individuals, that excitement piece, I would say following online and getting that insider view of what's going on here and getting to know the athletes. That's been another cool thing that they're pushing is just understanding the athletes and who we are as people, in addition to the fact that we play softball. It's like, who are these people and what kind of characters do they have? And let me tell you, there are a lot of great characters here.
Yeah, I really enjoyed listening to the Kat Osterman mic'd up. It was pretty funny when she said, wow, wearing this thing really makes you think about what you say.
Yes.
I can only imagine. That is so cool. All right, so what if people want to get one of those cool Athletes Unlimited pillows that you've got next to you?
Ooh, I'm not sure if they're on the website, but I would hope so. Otherwise, maybe we can have a little drawing after the season ends. I've seen a bunch of them around the dome, so I'll see what I can do.
That'd be fun. That'd be cool. I'd sleep on one of those.
I love it.
Well, awesome, Joey. Thank you so much for joining us for our second episode of What's in Your Cup with the Blaze. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for making the time, and I really wish you awesome luck with this and for training for the Olympics. I think I'm so proud of you. It's going to be super exciting.
Thank you.
It is super exciting. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, this was awesome. Thank you so much for having me on here. It was my pleasure. And anytime you want to chat, I'll be here in my sweats.
Beautiful. I love it. All right, Joe. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too. Bye, Kate.
Bye.